All right, so check this out. There are a lot of major things happening around the world right now, specifically in the Middle East, that requires America's attention. The US is now on high alert in anticipation of a potential Israeli strike on Iran, and the State Department is authorizing the evacuation of some personnel and military family members across the Middle East. That's according to the Washington Post, and the New York Times is reporting that the US is withdrawing diplomats from Iraq due to tensions with Iran. So the question is, what's the United States doing about it? Where is the President of the United States? What is Donald Trump doing? Well, he's attending a performance of Les Miserables at the Kennedy Center tonight. He's provided no details to the American people of what's taking place. He did have this somewhat impromptu press conference at the Kennedy Center when he was walking the red carpet, and he was asked questions about Iran and more. So I want to show you some clips from those questions he took from reporters. This first one was asked about Iran and what's going on. And of course, as per usual, Donald Trump gave somewhat of a non-answer. Have a look.
Give us an update on Iran.
Because you're in charge.
Say it again.
Yes, a question from Newsmax. Could you provide an update on Iran? We're hearing reports that U.S. personnel are being moved out of the region within striking distance.
Well, they are being moved out because it could be a dangerous place, and we'll see what happens. But they are being, we've given notice to move out, and we'll see what happens.
Is there anything that can be done to dial the temperature down in the region?
They can't have a nuclear weapon. Very simple. They can't have a nuclear weapon. We're not going to allow that.
Mr. President.
You know, it drives me nuts, really. Like, one of the things that frustrates me most in politics when Donald Trump talks about Iran having a nuclear weapon, because we had a nuclear deal with Iran under President Obama. He negotiated this deal that made it impossible for them to obtain a nuclear weapon. What happened to that deal? It got revoked by Donald Trump in his first administration. So the only reason that we're in this situation right now, with conflict with Iran, these nuclear negotiations not going to plan, us having to even negotiate in the first place for them not to have a nuclear weapon, is because of Donald Trump. We would not be in this position if it weren't for him. We wouldn't even be talking about these strikes if it weren't for him. And he kind of gives this non-answer of like, well, you know, we'll just see what happens. You know, there could be major conflict that explodes around the world, but, you know, we'll see what happens. It could be a dangerous situation. It is the typical Trump answer, the non-answer, because in my personal view, he has no idea what's going on. He has no idea what's happening in the United States. He has no idea what's happening around the world. And that was actually demonstrated in some of his later answers. I mean, for example, later he was actually asked by a Fox News reporter about the protests in Los Angeles, and he was making the claim that the police were asking us to come in and things like that. So take a look at this clip as well.
What we have is a situation in Los Angeles that was caused by gross incompetence. They didn't have the police to handle it. The police were asking us to come in. They were very late. We had to go in to save a lot of ICE officers, as you know, who were held up. They were holed up in a building, and they were being attacked. And the military went in, the National Guard went in and got them. The police weren't able, unfortunately, to move fast enough, but we moved fast enough. And while we were there, we stayed there, and we stopped tremendous destruction and death. We stopped death. We stopped a lot.
We stopped death, Donald Trump said about Los Angeles. I think, again, that is obviously such a ridiculous claim to be making about what's taking place in LA. But this just goes to show you that Donald Trump is just completely out of touch. The governor of California, the LAPD, the mayor of Los Angeles, none of these people were asking for the National Guard to come in. But once Donald Trump signed the memorandum that he signed, and once the National Guard came into Los Angeles, then things got bad. Then tensions rose. Then the protests started to spiral because of Donald Trump. It was not needed in the first place. Nobody was asking for it. And yet Donald Trump comes in and says, oh, we're just going to do it anyway. He says the National Guard went in and got them. He's making up a fictional story, as he always does. I mean, his brain is melting. This guy is declining so rapidly, it's hard to keep up with. But this is all just completely false. And either Donald Trump knows that, or he's been told this and now believes it for some reason. There's a number of different options here with Trump when it comes to just the lies that he makes up. Another clip I want to show you is Donald Trump continuing to lie about the trade deals that he is apparently striking with all these countries. He was asked, would you be willing to extend the deadline for trade talks with these countries? And just have a look at what Donald Trump had to say in response to that.
Trump, what are you looking forward to tonight?
Maybe so quiet, Jeff.
I have a my question is on trade. Would you be willing to extend the deadline for trade talks with these countries?
I would, but I don't think we're going to have that necessity. We made a great deal with China. We're very happy with it. We have everything we need, and we're going to do very well with it, and hopefully they are too. That was a very big one. As you know, we did with the UK, and I tell you what, we're rocking in terms of deals. Now, at a certain point, we're just going to send letters out, and I think you understand that, saying this is the deal. You can take it or you can leave it. You don't have to use it. You don't have to shop in the United States, as I say. So at a certain point, we'll do that. We're not quite ready. We're dealing with quite a few countries, and they all want to make a deal with us, every one of them.
Who's next?
Now, it's absolutely insane that Donald Trump is still running with this, that I don't think we're going to need it. We're rocking in terms of deals. We have no trade deals. There are no trade deals. Donald Trump is saying, oh, this country wants to negotiate with us. This country wants to. No. There are no trade deals. And by the way, that trade deal that he announced with China still includes a lot of tariffs on the United States and tariffs on goods coming in from China. Like in a Truth Social post earlier today, Donald Trump was talking about this trade deal. He says, our deal with China is done, subject to final approval with President Xi and me. Full magnets and any necessary rare earths will be supplied up front by China. Likewise, we will provide to China what we agreed to, including Chinese students using our colleges and universities. We are getting a total of 55% tariffs. China is getting 10%. Relationship is excellent, he says. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Tariffs, still 55% tariffs on China, according to Donald Trump. And he's saying that this trade deal is great, that, everything's sorted out. Of course, that is another lie by Donald Trump. And especially this one is the most egregious one. We're rocking in terms of deals. Nobody's making deals with the United States. Nobody's interested in making a deal with Donald Trump because he's so erratic. He changes his mind like he changes his clothes. It's just every single day. The final clip I want to show you is kind of back to the original point, which is Donald Trump is just denying reality and has no idea of what's taking place here in the United States, let alone abroad. He was asked about the protests spreading to 16 cities across the United States against him, and he just said, yeah, I don't think so. I think you're lying. Have a look.
If this turns into another summer of unrest, what are you prepared to do, sir?
About what?
If this turns, well, the protests have spread now to 16 cities across the U.S. If this turns in...
That's what you're saying. Do I believe you? I don't think so.
Well, I got that from the
I
Fox
can tell
News
you
green
that
room.
What we have is a situation in Los Angeles that was caused by gross incompetence. They didn't have the police to handle it. The police were asking us to come in. They were very late. We had to go in to save a lot of ICE officers, as you know, who were held up. They were held up in a building.
And then he starts ranting about the ICE officers held up in the building, the same Trump thing. But he's just denying reality again. The protests are in 16 different cities here in the United States. He's like, well, I don't think so. I just don't believe you. It is insanity what Trump is doing right now. There are so many things happening in the United States and around the world. He's MIA. He's at Les Miserables at the Kennedy Center. He's asked about the specifics of these issues, and he either just says, well, I don't believe you, or you'll just have to wait and see what happens. He never actually gives any specifics. There is no transparency with this administration, and I don't think that the transparency, or the lack thereof of the transparency, is because Donald Trump is hiding things. I think it's because he genuinely has no idea what's happening in the United States and around the world. So he just gives these very vague statements that kind of kicks it down the road so he doesn't have to answer it right now. That just appears to be, in my view, the Trump way. So, hopefully things in the Middle East and around the world don't kick off tonight, because the president of the United States is going to be MIA with no knowledge of what's taking place. I'll leave the video there. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you being here. Make sure to subscribe to the channel down below. It goes an incredibly long way. Drop a like on the video and comment. Let me know what you think about this story. And as I always say, I greatly appreciate you, and I hope you have an amazing rest of your day.